April in Minnesota. Alright guys, maybe you're thinking about buying yourself a skid loader and diving in and taking that plunge. It made the #3 spot on the must-have list for any landscaping or excavating company for a reason. Eventually, when you have one, you will find that you will use it almost every single project you go out and tackle. And so today, we're gonna get very specific and help you narrow down your search to find the exact right machine specifically for you guys. We're gonna be talking about brands. Do you want John Deere, Case, Caterpillar, Volvo, New Holland, anybody that makes a skid loader, we're gonna discuss it. Plus, we're gonna help you size what kind of machine you need. Do you want a small frame machine, a medium-sized frame, or do you want a big framed machine? And then the ultimate question, do you want tires or tracks? And how do you bridge the gap between the two? Because if you were only going to buy one machine and you wanted it to do just about everything for your business, you gotta get the right piece right out of the gate. And hopefully by the time we're done with this video, we're gonna do all of that. And I'm gonna get a different shirt because this thing is way too tight. Ugh. So now the next question is, who makes the best brand? Does Bobcat make the best brand? Caterpillar? Case? Well, the answer to that one is really simple. They all do. They all invest millions and millions of dollars into perfecting their piece of equipment. So they're all going to have a pretty good piece of equipment, and then occasionally they're going to have a pretty bad piece of equipment. How do you guys choose which one is right for you? And that answer is simple as well. It's not about the brand, it's about the dealer in your area. If you have a dealer in your area and they have a bad reputation but they sell a good piece of equipment, avoid them like the plague. They're not worth dealing with because even the best piece of equipment is going to break down and need maintenance and service, and then you're stuck with that dealer. Now if you have a dealer that has an amazing reputation, that's the person you want to work with. Think of it this way, when you buy a piece of equipment, it's kind of like you're marrying the dealer that services that piece of equipment. It's going to be a long-term relationship and you might as well start off on the right foot. Don't hit your truck. So, you've picked out what brand you like. I don't care what it is, Bobcat, Case, New Holland, whatever it may be. The next thing you need to know is, what exact size piece of equipment do you want? Do you want a small frame machine, a medium frame machine, or do you want a large bodied machine? Let me show you a little bit of something here. Both of these machines that you see in the background are what I call mid-size machines. They don't have a big wheelbase and they don't have a big frame. Now before we go too far, I should actually show you a large frame machine next to a mid-size frame machine. What I really want you to look at is the difference in size of the actual units themselves. That smaller T180 can do almost all of the work that the bigger machine can do, with some exceptions, but that bigger machine can't quite get into the same areas that a mid-frame machine can handle. So if you were going to pick out just one piece of equipment that's right for you, I would recommend going with something in the middle. It's kind of like the story about Goldilocks, right? Mid-size machine is going to allow you to get into smaller areas, but it's also going to let you be able to handle bigger jobs as well. It may not do it as efficiently as a big-bodied machine, but it'll do it better than a small frame machine. By going in the middle, you give yourself more opportunity to tackle a larger variety of projects without worrying you have the right piece of equipment. Alright guys, by now we know what brand you need. We also have a pretty good idea. Do you want a small framed, medium sized, or a large framed loader? But do you want tracks? Or do you want tires? Let's get into it. This one, I'm going to count on the guys in the comments to help you make your decision. Thank goodness for tracks. Job would not be possible without a track machine. There's just no margin for error on this slope. Even though the T180 is really not a great machine, it's still better than something like that with a set of tires. One false move and that skid steer can't be saved. Okay guys, here's the straight truth about tracks. When you need them, nothing will beat them. The problem is with tracks, sometimes you can't use them at all. Meaning if you have a dedicated track machine like this, and you still have to use it, you're going to be ripping those tracks apart, and at $1,000 per side, it gets to be a pretty expensive lesson. Now there is a way to bridge that gap, but it's not perfect. It does give you the capabilities of both pieces of equipment, but not quite as efficient. Let's talk about it now. If I was only going to choose one piece of equipment, I would buy a tired machine, such as this 185, and I would put rubber tracks over the top of those tires. And I say this very specifically because the rubber tracks will allow me to float similar, but not quite as efficiently as a tracked machine. All right, you know what? Instead of telling you about it, I want to actually show it to you, and these guys have the absolute best demonstration of anybody I've ever been able to find of just how effective a good set of over-the-tire tracks can be to turn a tired skid loader into a mud-moving machine. So check this out. I'm actually pretty surprised that this guy can move it all in mud like this. In fact, the fact that he's getting around is pretty impressive. Now this is more like what I would expect to happen with tires in mud like this. Just pretty much getting hung up like a turtle flopped on its back. Now let's be very clear, I have absolutely nothing to do with this company, but I do want to give them credit because they have the absolute best demonstration of anybody I've seen out there of just how effective a good set of over-the-tire tracks can be. So I'm going to put a link to their website down below if you guys are looking at purchasing one. Check them out. They don't even know I'm doing this, and I'm definitely not getting any kickbacks for this, but obviously they got a good product. Here it is. Now you can tell right away that this machine now can move around where before it was just getting stuck and spinning, but one of the big things you got to be careful of with over-the-tire tracks is what I call cowboying out of them. And that means turning too fast or working on a side slope and literally driving out of the tracks. Alright guys, I actually need your feedback. I've never dealt with this company or these tracks, so if you guys have, I want to hear from you. Is this a good company? Yes or no? Put it in the comments down below so that everybody else knows if they're on the right track as well. But it also gives me the capability to pull those tracks off in case I'm working on a hard surface such as asphalt or concrete or doing demolition work. I can remove those tracks and then I can use the skid loader's tires to continue that job. All right, now tracks can do a whole lot, but they're not magic. And a lot of times what happens is a guy will get comfortable with a tracked machine and then they take it too far. And when it goes south, sometimes it goes south pretty fast, pretty bad. Now, in an absolutely perfect world, I would recommend having two skid loaders, one with a dedicated set of tracks and another with a dedicated set of tires. If you can do that, that's awesome. But that's not within everybody's budget. So if we're going to go with one, we're going to try to compensate and bridge the gap between the two. Now, here's a little something you need to know. With rubber tracks, not steel, but rubber tracks, you have to have very good tread on the actual tire itself, because it's the tire that's sticking to the track, and that's what gives you your traction. All right, so let's also talk about steel tracks. They do provide superior flotation, especially over tires alone. But in my experience, steel tracks tend to rip apart the machine that they're put on. When they get loose, which inevitably they do, the operator won't see that, and they keep operating it, and that track tears up a piece of equipment pretty fast. You don't have that problem with rubber tracks. But of course, if you have a good operator, then you won't have that problem at all. Alright guys, so let's recap what we learned today. The very first thing you need to do is when you're trying to pick out which skid steer is right for you is to pick out which dealer is the very best in your area. Every machine's going to break down and you're going to end up being married to that dealer for all of your service, so that's more important than anything else you can choose. The next thing you need to know is which size machine you want. Now for me, if I was going to get just one piece of equipment, I'd get that 185 or a mid-frame size piece of equipment. It's just big enough that it can handle larger projects if you have to, but it's also able to skinny into those tight areas and do smaller jobs at the same time. Now if I was going to go with a dedicated tire unit, I would also get a set of rubber tracks and put over the top of those tires. That would allow me to float and to go into situations that would otherwise be inaccessible unless you had a track skid loader like the other one next to it. I hope this video's helped you guys out. Let me know what you think of it in the comments down below, and if you like videos like this, well then I'll try to make more of these for you. God bless you guys. Go get